Howdy, howdy, folks. So I am back. I have another historical battle for you. This one is the Battle of Stones River here. We're starting a little slow, but this is a defensive battle. I guess we'll let the video play through here. But yeah, as CSA, we are very much on the defensive. We have, I think these are only level 1 parapets. It didn't look like they were reinforced at all. We are outnumbered. Not It's not a huge difference, but it is a difference. And we start with the Union kind of in a position to bear down on us. So I kicked out my skirmishers. It's a very long line. I'd also say I really like the sky and the background, but we are being attacked almost all along this line except at the two flanks. So here's the left part of my line, and I'm going to bring it up to try to put some flank pressure on. It'll be their right, my left side of their line, as that kind of barrels into my left center. My hope is that that will delay that attack. On the far right, my units are a bit out of position. I guess I'm kind of moving over there a little bit now, but we're not really underway. All right, so we're getting further to the right, but this is more like the right center, and this is kind of the busy part of the line, right? Those are pre-made fortifications, so this battle and Champions Hill are on the dev patch, but I guess that hasn't gone out to others. If I'm wrong about this, then you all can play it, but someone who was interested in the Battle of Stones River mentioned a couple days back that didn't see it, so I figured I would shoot the battle so that folks can get a glimpse at it here. But this is the far right, this group that's at the bottom of the screen right here. Yeah, that's me trying to set up some breastworks. It feels out of position. There's one battery and I think 3 or 4 brigades, and I'm going to hold, I think there are 4 because I think I hold 3 here and I send 1 over to reinforce this part, the right center, because that looked like it was going to get clobbered from, you can see the Union, I think it's a division right now at the kind of on the left, and there's one on the right, and I'm worried about the division. You can see the outline of it to the left of the screen right now, that they were going to come through, crunk my forces here in the forest, and they were all just going to kind of bear down on those parapets. So I'm much more spread out. Like if I had the choice about how to deploy, I deploy my forces far closer. I'm willing to risk the flank because I'm usually looking for, well, who do I get to attack? And so, if the enemy wants to spread out on a long flank, I'm usually like, yeah, that's good. that's perfect. They've done half my job for me. Now I just got to go get those isolated groups. So we're moving up here on the left. The artillery, surprisingly, I don't know, kind of surprised me. It's actually in pretty good default positions, which on my campaign maps almost never happens. There's this kind of no man's land between the left center, and on the right, just off the screen, is the actual center of the line. It's kind of in the woods. This is just the opening skirmisher duel. You can see the 3 groups of skirmishers up there near Gresham Lane. I was trying to get a free pick on that arty. I thought maybe I would catch the AI napping. Wasn't really sure how things were going. And I noticed that those infantry brigades that were the parent brigades of those skirmishers, they had pretty good range on them. And so I was like, you know what? Let's see if the AI reacts. Maybe we can kite them through the woods and try to come for us, and we can pull back, because there are 2 battalions on the left, and let them deal with it. Over here, even though I'm moving up, I think I'm moving up, so in the forest on the left, you just saw, I did the same thing here. I put three of those skirmisher groups are going after that arty. I'm trying to get them on the pick. The leftmost skirmisher there was not. Over here, I'm going to try to get across. This might be the Stones River. I did not. I'll zoom out a few times to show you the map. It's a fine-looking map and all that. It actually really is, as they all tend to be. But I was going to try to get across and pick off their artillery battalion over there. And then over here, yeah, there were 2 brigades. I think I have them build fortifications in the woods overlooking this field, because this is where I kind of think the big push, like if they wanted to, they could definitely concentrate, and I don't think my level 1 parapets are going to be enough to stop them. This is over here on the far left again. Now their brigades are coming up, and again, those are just not great matchups for the skirmishers. in the sense that the skirmishers should expect to lose them in the form of being routed every time. They may do more casualties, and they certainly will slow their brigades down as they take time to shoot it out. Why their brigades don't just press through the skirmishers if they're going to attack, I'm not sure. Here we are getting some good shots on that regular artillery battalion, and the goal is to rout the normal arty crew off it, and if the AO wants to operate it, then they got to send out a detachment to do it. Yeah, so we're lining things up there. This is, okay, the far right. And again, I like the Stones River there. There's one crossing, you can see the skirmishers going over, but if they want to cross anywhere other than that, because there's all that Union stuff that's right up on them, they got to backtrack and go down the road below the screen now. Then they got to cross over there, and then they'll come in behind the level 1 parapets, kind of where the railroad is. And you can see that a little bit better now. But I figured I would send the skirmishers across, try to get a free pick on that arty, or at least delay the attack. Their attack on my parapets. There you can see. Excuse me, that's the brigade I'm gonna send over. Somehow there, you probably saw it just very briefly, that battalion and the infantry brigade near it was tired. This is their cav, which I didn't realize in game when I played this through. This was the first time I noticed it was there. When I was doing this review like a minute ago, I saw them up there and I was like, oh, that's where they came from. I thought that this was actually brilliant and something I've been saying for more than a year that cavalry, the AI's cavalry should do, which is just charge off your skirmishers. Like, I mean, they could shoot them off, they could charge them off. You know, why not? If you know, I'm going to be up there harassing them, it pushes my harass back. Their cav is going to be less useful in those frontline engagements. So if they use the cav to clear out my skirmishers, they can then send out their own skirmishers. If they don't have them out, they can use them to skirmish up to the parapets, and then their brigades can come in quick order and can deliver, you know, 2v1s, 3v1s at close range, and then my forces are going to be hard pressed. I thought at this point that maybe they were going to delay this attack from the round forest, and so that's why you see me. I think I send regular old infantry brigades over. I think you can also see that this brigade, that was the one I just talked about a moment ago, I think that's the one that was supposed to be on the march. Maybe it wasn't, and I was vacillating. That sounds more like me. I was vacillating between keeping them where they couldn't really shoot anything, they couldn't really melee anything, sending them straight over to try to delay or flank, but then the risk of getting isolated or stuck in the river, or sending them on a kind of end-round run to those level 1 parapets. So yeah, their cav is here. I think we have some skirmishers and one brigade in the area, but if, you know, that's actually not a terrible matchup for their cav. I don't remember their numbers or their weapons. I was trying to play with as many things taken off the screen so we could just see what the battle looks like and enjoy the you know, this feast for the optics here on of 3D models. But 2 skirmisher groups and an infantry brigade, there's a chance that if other things go right for that cav unit, they could wipe all of them. And that would absolutely crunk. This is my center. I don't spend all that much time on it. Kind of on both sides, there's like 1 division in the center, but each side has about 2 divisions on the flanks. And that's, it makes it interesting, but again, it puts pressure on, and because I am skipping around, you know, every so often, and one of the other things you may notice if you've watched a lot of these, it is micro intensive. I had turned up the mouse, the scroll speed stuff and the sensitivity stuff to try to jump back and forth through the other flanks, but I didn't think about it, but it's one of the other reasons why I like to keep my forces more compact. It's just less scrolling. I haven't had significant performance issues with the 3D models, but others have. In fact, the game doesn't really tax the CPU or GPU very hard, and you know, my system is probably at best mid-tier. But that was something else that when I didn't move the scroll speed, it took like a while to go back and forth and back and forth. So anyways, there's that. But we're still in that. I don't know what the AI is doing. I mean, in-game, this is 12 minutes in. And like, they really haven't moved much from that round forest, and they ought to. This is the center, if I recall. It's kind of the left center, I guess. And this is the far left of their line, and then the far left of my line. Yeah, and that artillery did have decent flanking angles. I mean, if they had just barreled into my center, the right side of your screen right now, you can see what's there, or more like what's not. They could link up with those other infantry brigades, and I think I got 2 or 3 infantry brigades that are there. I could try to move to meet them, but that would be hard to do. And since they're moving through the woods, which, yeah, it imposes movement penalties, but I'm not there either. So whatever movement penalties they're taking, I'm also taking, and I don't have time to shoot at them as they're rolling in. Now, there is that one battery back there you saw. Yeah, like, it's there, but if that doesn't do the trick, and it usually doesn't, in my experience, it's not enough to really change things. That is the one brigade that's in a decent position. I'm trying to get up some breastworks in that field. The crops are down, and so they won't obscure line of sight. So, I mean, it's a position. If they crunked me from their far left and brought it into their center division here, I think they have a great chance to smash through that forest. And then if they just pushed kind of towards my right center, I think that they'd have a very good position, or they'd be in a very, very good position. And I would kind of be caught strung out, riding the flanks a little too far to be able to help turn things around in the center. So they've shot off some of my skirmishers. No surprise there. I wasn't expecting to win those. Those are just the speed bumps until I can try to get, so that the artillery can try to generate some value. I can try to confuse their attack a little bit by engaging in these shootouts. But they've had that one infantry brigade, their cavalry brigade, in a shootout for quite some time. But I'm still just killing time up here on the top. As you can see, they're shooting down my skirmishers. Again, skirmishers lose a lot of their 1v1s, but in sequence, they can serve a kind of attrition purpose. I'm surprised, almost 15 minutes in, I haven't done more with those infantry brigades on the right in terms of getting them all in cover or all of them building breastworks. But that's a sign of how taxing the micro was on this map. And with a little bit better or a little bit more pressure, I think my micro would have collapsed on at least some flank. So we finally get the break on them, because just as my infantry were in a long shootout with theirs, I guess I had 2 infantry brigades shooting into them. So that or at least 2. That actually makes a fair amount more sense why they lost that. That was a huge loss, but again, it was an unsupported cavalry engagement. If they were going to come up for a quick pick on some skirmishers, great, but then they gotta have the orders to get back. Here again, I see an opportunity to maybe go get that artillery battalion, and so I'm going to send some skirmishers up to shoot at them, but they are in woods, and so that is going to negate some of the strength of that shooting. But I think the kind of thickness of the forest tends to work more against their artillery than it does against my infantry, because it just kind of completely collapses the line of sight and fire for the artillery, whereas for the infantry, at least according to the cone I was seeing, we could still shoot them, and it's just that the forests are going to block, I think it's 20-25%, something like that, of incoming shots. Alright. What are we doing? Yeah, I mean, I figured I'd won the battle up in the front here. I had those 2 brigades, I think, go back to entrenching at the edge of the wood line, overlooking this part of this open field. I'm hoping to kind of just set it up as sort of killing fields, but the AI isn't really going for it. They're pressing me more on the right side of that field, which is not bad. And out here, they're just out shooting me. I mean, one of their brigades is turned in the wrong direction. It's letting that skirmisher group get some more picks on their arty, but they just need to move. They need to either attack me or attack someone else and then force me to move to meet them. That was a quick peek at the map. Here I am checking the casualties. See, they weren't that good considering I was defending. I don't even think that they were 2-1. And so if the AI can concentrate and just, even at that rate, and hit me, I think they're going to win the morale contest with whatever I have left. Alright, that reinforcing brigade came over, kicked out some skirmishers to help prop up the right part of that line. Alright, we got some more skirmishing. Out here, there was some. Yeah, I had unfinished fortifications. I think this ended up being a mistake. I mean, why do I need to go that far just to finish those fortifications? That's pulling them away from the battle, and they're gradually drifting more in toward the center, and I'm out here worrying about, whatever. Now, this cav group I thought was too small to make a difference in a shootout, but they could go capture a victory point. And so that's why I put, I guess it's Wharton's cavalry on the ride around. That was the cavalry brigade, Pegram? Who started out on my right, and again, they're really not numerous enough, I think, to win to affect combat, but they might be able to grab victory points, or pile into a desperate situation and try to help stabilize things. But it looks like now, am I going to scroll over to it? No, I'm not. I'm too obsessed with the 3D models. So right here on this right, I guess I could pause it, right? I believe that's 2 brigades. And they're going to come up on one, which my cursor just happened to be over it, so I know it's Smith's. This is a bad position because the brigade to Smith's left can't quite get the angle, and I don't like how they've changed the way cover and fortifications work. So if I take the brigade to the left of Smith's and just reorient it a bit to shoot at the left more of those 2 Union infantry brigades, I'm going to entirely lose the cover of the level 1 parapet. I'll do it, but I also remember, what you can do in these situations where you're 2v1'd. I think I do it very quick, very soon. Yeah, get down. All right. Again, those are the skirmishers from the brigade that I put out there in advance, and so they're going to come up and they're going to help try to chip away at this attack. And I think with this brigade, I figured, screw it. Like, yeah, we may take more incoming fire, but it is what it is. We're just going to try to make sure that this attack doesn't break that brigade, and create a hole in the line and spread panic down those fortifications. But again, it wasn't followed up with any other push. They got 3 or 4 brigades back there that are shooting off my skirmishers. Like, all right, fine, but I'm just going to send out more. You got to attack. If they were pressing along with that other group over there that's coming for the level 1 parapets, I'd be in real trouble. So we're doing some stuff here. Here's the contest. My skirmishers were blocking the brigade, and at this point I was just like, don't worry about the casualties, we got to lay down fire and we got to try to break those brigades. So now it's 2 brigades on their side attacking slightly uphill into 3 brigades on my side, 2 of which have level 1 parapets. Over here, their infantry, as you can see, it kind of called off their attack on my left center, and they're going to send 1 brigade up unsupported into 2 artillery battalions. Looks like at least 3 brigades, and of course I'm going to kick out skirmishers. Yeah, this could have been much worse, right? Against a human player, like, this is going to be rough. And at this point, I think I probably have more brigades on my left than they do. And it looks like, yeah, but in the actual center, which we see here on the right half of the screen, I believe they have 3 brigades, and I think I have 2, and the other one's a skirmisher group. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So if they're able to get up close, if they used formations, charge this out, we'd definitely be in trouble. The shootouts, remember, don't tend to matter as much in heavily forested areas. So as defenders, you want to try to shoot them as the attackers. Alright, it seems like a bit of a lull. Over here, the shootout continues. Their brigades do surprisingly well. I think again, if there were more of them there, send them up and in. I had to move that brigade because I guess they weren't able to get an angle. Over here, the AI really pulls a fast one on me, and I'm not saying that sarcastic. I was not expecting them to cross in the face of several skirmisher groups and a couple of brigades in breastworks and in fences. And I guess right here, I misclicked, I was going to have them charge or something like that, but I see that and I'm thinking, well, then let's get a 2 or 3v1 on that brigade that's got to cross one at a time, and maybe we can swing things. All right, back here on the far left. So now some of their other brigades are moving up, but not really to support this one. That's now starting to get a concave, almost 180 degrees around it between skirmishers and brigades. But their other brigades are starting to press into those woods. If they would continue to just press on that angle, and they've been there for about 5 or 10 minutes but haven't done all that much, I think they could really crumple that part of that line. Their artillery, which has been shot at by my skirmishers, starts to pull off and away, and so 200 skirmishers basically negates that full-on artillery battalion. At this point, I'm like, you know what? There are only 3 brigades here. I got, 2 in the center and a couple other I sent over from the left center. And I'm going to make the decision to attack them. Again, there's 1 brigade that moves up here against 2 of mine that are entrenched in forests. That brigade that's coming up right there, now it's starting to look like a little bit more coordinated attack. And I put them in square formation because it looked like that brigade was it was coming for the melee. So I was like, all right, well. And right before they hit that parapet, I don't know if it's they saw square or what, and they're like, nope, we don't want that. So you can see that they're starting to back off. I put another brigade on that, and I'm not going to stay in square for long because I know that minimizes my firepower. And yeah, I'm going to put them down so that they're going to be prone behind those breastworks, making themselves real small targets and still getting out a pretty decent rate of fire. And then it's huge. We get that 1 brigade to break, which means now it's at least a 2v1 against the remaining brigade they have there. And if I can bring a third or want to bring a third in to fire at it, I will. Yeah, so that's that. This attack on the far right, the numbers are there that if it were just numbers without the river, I'd be in trouble. But even if they win that, the rest of their forces are now dragged away from the main fight. I can say that all in retrospect. I certainly was not feeling that at the time. All right. But yeah, with that one brigade having been crunked, we can now focus and we can get 2 and 3v1s against those 2 brigades that are left. Now is probably right around the time where it started to feel like, all right, things are turning in a good direction for us. It felt like the pressure was kind of coming off, and I was starting to think about, well, maybe it's a good time to attack, which is, I feel like that's frequently what I'm thinking, but whatever. All right, this is kind of the dead center of the line. And they went from outnumbering me here 3-2 to I think I'm going to outnumber them 5-3 in terms of brigades. Maybe it's 4-3 in terms of brigades. All right, they're starting to go to square formation. So if you don't know what that means, or not square formation, assault column, which pretty much tells you what's about to happen. Here, no real surprise, right? We routed off that brigade. We're going to go and try to use our skirmishers to get some picks on their arty. Yeah, they had that 1 brigade left at the wall, but it's alone. It's been in combat for a while, and you can see it was starting to run low on ammo. All right, so 2 brigades there. We're going in for the assault on one of theirs. I believe I put 2 other brigades in assault column and put it against the second of those 3. And my plan is to just win those, because their 3rd brigade right now will just stand there while I fight the other 2. They won't go square. This is a huge push. I don't think I really paid attention to it in game, but that was a big push to try to get all those forces across. Yeah, and it wasn't even a brilliantly implemented attack, because you can see I went 1v1, which you can sometimes lose, even if the defenders are in line and you're in assault column. 1v1 is sometimes not enough. 2v1, I think, always has been, because even if your 1st brigade routes, the 2nd will break theirs. Over here, I think that was the other lone brigade that was dealing with 2 of my brigades that were in the woods and in cover, and so, the result was what it was. We're getting some picks there, and they're already... This is kind of their... I don't know if it was planned to be, but kind of their last gambit. I mean, if those forces make it across, I think they have the concentration that they could wipe that flank. I don't know what it gets them, because now their attack on the right center has failed. They're about to get crumpled in the center. their attack on the left is kind of just treading water, and so it's not really much of an attack. But that's just shooting at Artie, right? This is the conflict in the center. There it is. We broke one of the brigades, and this is the attack on the left center. Again, they're kind of going in two directions. That's a skirmisher detachment that all those, I think, 2 brigades and a detachment are chasing down. Over here on the left, it's a bit more substantial, and I did not see those reinforcements. I didn't know those forces were there. If those had been up, pressing into this left center of my line or the left, it would have easily fallen. I mean, not easily, but it would have fallen, no doubt. But it's sitting back there almost as if it's in reserve, and I'm like, all right, well then we'll try to get a concave on the brigades you've sent out into this open field, and I think we have a numerical advantage, certainly in terms of the number of units we do, but I think just raw numbers we do as well. And their positioning is not terribly optimal. I mean, many of mine can shoot theirs, but not all 3 of those brigades can fire. They just brought the second in to fire, so they're not in as strong a position. Conflict in the center. So I think both of those brigades broke, and then they tried to rally, and so they did actually rally, but you can see just barely. And so a little more pressure might shake them. I think that's true of that brigade as well. I think they also got charged out, but they didn't take the overwhelming casualties. And I don't know how this happened. I really don't. I just know that attack did not work. You can see that one of those brigades routed, the other got exhausted and turned around, and there is a kind of 3rd brigade that is hanging out there, and I think it's going to end up in combat for much of the rest of the battle. That was the cav maneuver behind him that got that Gresham lane on the far left. But this is what it's looking like. So yeah, the big attack, nothing's happening. You can still see there are brigades back there just hanging out, just not engaged at all. So it could have been much worse. Up there, we're getting 2v1s. Good. And over here, I believe we broke one through shooting. I then put the others in assault column and charged the second. And then the plan was, after that, we're going to send whatever's left against the 3rd brigade. Because it was in a position it couldn't really support with fire the other 2 until they were in melee, and by then it was too late. And after I run through them, it's just numbers that are going to overrun that line. Numbers and formation. So we're finishing off the brigades in their center. They're now done. And they have sizable forces on our right and on our left. But we can pretty much move forces wherever we need to address that threat. And now with the river back between us, you can see that their units are disorganized, they're tired, their morale, you can see it's about to break at the top. I left the morale thing on. Sort of obscures a little bit of the scenery, but that's what's going on over there. I guess these were other brigades that they brought up. They did. But you can see that their cohesion is in trouble. And that was the 3rd brigade that came up there. And so pretty much any other loss at this point is going to be the end of the day. And some of their units are starting to withdraw, and we're getting the notifications on the left. And if I haven't... Oh, I did get the countdown timer, we can see now. And I'm moving it as quickly as possible, but it's just in garbage time at this point. I believe there is a Union group that's stuck in melee. I've noticed this kind of in this patch, that sometimes units just end up in melee for really long periods of time. And that is the final result. We can pause it there. 14,000 casualties out of 47,000 for them. About a third of that for me out of just under 36,000. It could have been much worse. Again, they had a 2-to-1 artillery advantage. They claim we had a cavalry advantage. I'm not sure that's true. I felt like both of those cav units I had were very small, unless there was a third one lurking somewhere that I never noticed, which is entirely possible. Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. Anyways, that was the Battle of Stones River. I like the map. It's a map where I felt like I was under pressure. It's one where I think I'd like to go in as the Union, knowing that the CSA is that spread out, and see if I can maybe do better than the AI. Not with a complex strategy, but just one of concentration against the center or against one of their flanks. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one, and look forward to bringing you more. I think I'm going to try to do the Battle of Champions Hill as well for those of you who don't have it on the normal branch, so that you can get a chance to see it.